per Matthew's request. Again, it's a Hanna-Barbera special without the animals, but still. It comes from a DVD collection that has other animal cartoons, so maybe I can cover them in the future. But until then, let me introduce you to a witty Frenchman named Cyrano. I didn't know who Cyrano was, but he's a character based on a real person. Meet Séverine de Cyrano de Bergerac, a 17th century Frenchman who was known as a poet, a duelist, a playwright, and an epistolarian, meaning a writer of letters. Not much documentation is around to help us get a feel for who he was, but if there's one thing that's agreed on, it's that his nose stuck out like a sore thumb. Seriously, look at the size of that thing! And because Cyrano's life is surrounded in mystery, Edmond Rostand took creative liberties in the 1897 play he made about the guy. Its success resulted in a long line of stage plays, musicals, movies, and this Hanna-Barbera special is one of those adaptations. It first aired in 1974, and is a part of a larger anthology series called the ABC After School Special. So just to keep score, we have a TV special that's based on a pre-existing story, which in turn was a fictional version of a real person's life, just like how it was with the Don Bluth Anastasia movie, but without as much controversy. Now let's see if this Cyrano can live up to the quality of its source material. We open with some horsemen escorting this carriage. Inside the wagon is a young lady named Roxanne, voiced by Joan von Arc. She's going to be really important for the story and our main character, but for now, someone is interested in attacking them.
When the carriage reaches the inn, attack and dispose of the guards. You understand, after slaying the guards, you will retreat when I arrive to rescue the occupants.
Oh, I see. Trying to make yourself look good at the cost of people's blood? Yeah, I hope this guy dies a horrible death. The character, I mean, not the real-life person. He's already dead. This douche nozzle is the Count de Guiche, voiced by Martin Green. He's different from his stage play version, since in that, he was trying to help someone else marry Roxanne. Here, he wants her for himself, but Roxanne isn't interested in him anyway because...
He's too stuffy. He has no life, no spirit. He probably sits home now before a fire, fast asleep.
Oh, if only you knew. At the moment, Roxanne's interest lies with one of the new cadets in charge of escorting her, Christian, voiced by Victor Garber. And like us, she learns that her guardsmen are led by an old friend of hers, Cyrano de Bergerac.
Fumida said, each man has a nose, but his is the only nose that has a man.
Our hero's colleagues also hold him in high regard, but there's this feature of his that keeps him from really having a lady.
Innkeeper, quickly now, wine for my lady. Where is your hospitality?
It's even bigger than I imagined. Jose Ferrer voices our title character, and it's a very inspired casting choice, because he's played this role before. He won a 1947 Tony Award for his portrayal of Cyrano in the Edmond Rostand play, and he won an Academy Award for playing the same character in the 1950 movie adaptation. Compare what he did in that film to what he's doing here, and it's almost indistinguishable.
Well, Montfleury, still no exit? Very well then, I enter with knife to carve this fat, stuffed goose. It would seem we will have recreation before refreshment. Your pardon while I attend to this rude interruption.
Now this is the kind of man Don Quixote should strive to become. Of course, with Hanna-Barbera, the animation quality hasn't aged well, but some scenes come off better with their fluidity, especially for a 45-minute TV special. Anyway, De Guiche shows up too late to play the hero, so he gets trolled hard by Cyrano.
Your valiant blade can indeed assist. This cork has proved resistant. 1,000 thanks.
This is pretty fun, and we're only 5 minutes in. Everyone has now made it to the theater, where Christian expresses his own attraction to Roxanne. He also knows that she likes men of incredible wit and wordplay, which are things he doesn't have, so one of his fellow cadets tells him to take notes on Cyrano's speech patterns. Speaking of Cyrano, he was supposed to be the clown for the upcoming play. However, there's a problem.
Cyrano is not allowed within the hall tonight because of the presence of the cardinal who detests him with an unchurch-like hatred.
It's because of the nose, isn't it? Well, as we see in the next scene, we see Cyrano preparing for his performance anyway. If the cardinal or king, I don't know if they're the same person, doesn't like him, then the feeling is mutual. But we get the real reason why Cyrano wants to take part in the play. He wants to use the opportunity to profess his love to Roxanne. So that's 3 people after her hand, but about that. In the original play, it said that Cyrano and Roxanne are distant cousins. Even so, I would still think that counts as incest. And at the moment, I don't know if that carries over here, but we'll see. As the play starts, Count de Guiche suspects our clown is Cyrano because he sounds exactly like him. For a man with many talents, our hero doesn't try to hide his identity well, even with the mask. Even Robin Hood attempted to sound different from how he normally does. Anyway, once Cyrano is unmasked, de Guiche makes fun of him for his large nose, and how it would prevent him from finding a lover. But of course, Cyrano one-ups him the only way he knows how, with clever wordplay and imagery.
Tell me, when it drips, do you use a bed sheet for a handkerchief?
Come, have it.
A possibility. You must be a lover of music to carry about perpetually your own tuba. With just one sniff, you can smell an entire garden. Or you might have said, with such a paddle, just by turning your head, you could play at tennis.
I swear, Cyrano is the one character who can make his nose sound cool and handy. Anyway, he punches de Guiche to make his nose bigger, or whatever, and the play devolves into a sword fight. Christian and the others join in to help Cyrano, and oh yeah, people do get killed in this special. Maybe not graphically, but the implication is still there. So while our heroes won the day, Cyrano wasn't able to confess his love to Roxanne.
I recall when you fought on stage, I saw her watching, her eyes brimming with tender concern.
Well, yes. But if it wasn't for him, it was for another. I have a sneaking suspicion the story is going to turn tragic. Roxanne asks her nanny, or lady-in-waiting, to arrange a meeting between her and Cyrano. This is to talk about how Cyrano can help her get closer to Christian. But given how rushed the lady tells him, Cyrano thinks that it's Roxanne liking him. Still, better make that cake.
What is that?
A letter to Roxanne. One that up to now I have only written in my heart and torn up so many times.
So you're inviting her to Super Smash Brothers? It initially looks like our hero guessed correctly that she likes him, but as the conversation keeps going, he slowly realizes who Roxanne is really after.
So fearless, so aristocratic, so young and handsome.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
When the meeting is over, the baker, Ragueneau, suggests moving Christian to another military post in France, or just kill him in a duel because our hero is his boss after all. But Cyrano doesn't take the bait, because he really wants to make Roxanne happy.
Isn't that too much a burden for one heart, Cyrano?
Not to do it would be a burden even heavier.
Wow, maybe I had it all wrong. Maybe this won't result in the two lovers fighting. Well, sorta. The cadets show up in the bakery to cheer on Cyrano, and it's here where Christian asks to leave the cadets. He doesn't want to stick around and pine for Roxanne from afar. But because Cyrano doesn't know that this is Christian, he makes some snide comments about the latter's cowardice. This irks Christian to the point where he draws his sword and he baits our hero into fighting him with this.
If I promise not to nick your nose...
All the rest of you out! Leave me with this popinjay.
But no worries. Once Cyrano knows that this is Christian, he immediately backs down and tells him that Roxanne loves him back. To prove that he isn't bullshitting, Cyrano refers to the conversation he had with her.
You must understand, I am her father, her uncle, her poodle.
poodle?
An expression, her friend.
Okay, so they dropped the distant cousins thing and settled for being friends. That's better at least. So Cyrano tells Christian to take the old love letter and pass it off as his own. Our hero will also help by writing new letters and teach him how to speak more elegantly. But when asked why he's eager to help, Cyrano lies by saying that he's just doing this for fun. There's also the matter of the Count de Guiche, so Cyrano speaks with him later to dissuade him from chasing Roxanne further. But de Guiche has his own secret plan for our hero. He's planning to send him and his cadets to fight a large Spanish army in the French city of Arras. It might as well be a suicide mission. This will matter later on, but for now, we see Roxanne talking to Cyrano about the letters from Christian. They're quite good, apparently.
But heavenly inspired. I always thought you the best poet in France. But from the letters I have had from Christian these past 2 days, I must now put you second.
I really am afraid of what's to come since she really doesn't know the truth, and at least one of our male heroes has to die before the story ends. De Guiche also shows up to hit on Roxanne. He tells her about his plans to send Cyrano and his cadets to fight the Spanish.
Then you do this to repay Cyrano for the public humiliation he caused you.
Exactly.
Not his fault you have a poor sense of fashion, but because Roxanne knows that Christian is part of the cadets, she convinces him to keep Cyrano and his group away from the battle. This means that the Count will get all the glory from fighting the Spanish, and now he thinks that's a good idea. But that's not all he's planning.
To make the victory complete, Roxanne has indicated her concern for me, so I shall visit her tonight with a priest to marry us.
This is bad, since Cyrano is planning to set up a meeting between Roxanne and Christian the same night. Considering there's less than 20 minutes of film left, I'm really worried about how things will turn out. Something big is going down, and not in a good way. That night, Christian shows up to Roxanne's as scheduled, but he tells Cyrano that he now needs to speak to her in his own words. He's already feeling guilty about misleading Roxanne into thinking that he's smart and cultured, when he isn't, so he thinks being himself can make this courtship feel less like a game. It doesn't go well, though.
I love you, Roxanne. Say you love me too.
I ask for wine. You give me water.
Ouch. However, after she leaves, Cyrano decides to salvage the situation by asking Christian to approach Roxanne again. She's up in the balcony this time, and Cyrano whispers Christian the lines he needs to woo her. But Cyrano fully takes over halfway, again without disguising his voice. But because he gives such an incredible performance, it is enough for Roxanne to forgive Christian, despite not knowing who was actually speaking.
Ah, Roxanne, did ever a man win a prize so dear, only to lose it in the winning? He kisses her, but she is kissing me.
Cyrano deserves some kind of happy ending. He's willing to give up so much for the happiness of others, even at the cost of his own. Anyway, the moment is interrupted when a priest shows up. He's sent by the Count de Guiche for his plans to marry Roxanne tonight. But because the priest doesn't know who's marrying, Cyrano tells him to marry Christian and Roxanne, and do it fast. Our hero then stays by the gate to interrupt the Count, who's in for the biggest shock of his life.
This is Roxanne's wedding night.
That's no secret, you idiot. I arranged it.
You did? Then you are indeed welcome. Shall we go and meet the happy couple?
I love how Jose Ferrer can make even this Cyrano sound so good, even for a cartoon intended for younger audiences. That's real dedication. Anyway, the wedding seems to be successful.
It was beautiful.
Too bad we didn't see it. Naturally, de Guiche is a sore loser. So as revenge, he reverses his plans to keep Cyrano and his cadets away from the battle against the Spanish. They'll be leaving for Arras tonight. And you know how I said that people die in this?
The enemy draws closer.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time I've reviewed a Hanna-Barbera cartoon that features dead bodies and blood. And remember, this was aired on television for kids to see. Thank you, ABC After School Specials. The fight goes poorly for the French, So Cyrano and Christian are convinced that they're both gonna die soon. Christian asks our hero to write a farewell letter to Roxanne, which was already done. But when he notices the teardrops on the parchment, he realizes that Cyrano has been pining for Roxanne all along. We'll get back to this point. But for now, the Count asks Christian to leave the fort and call for reinforcements. It's awful timing because just as Christian leaves to fulfill his task, Roxanne makes an unexpected appearance. So now Cyrano and his cadets have to get out there and save her husband. Hot damn, this special is bloody! Our hero manages to reach Christian, but he is fatally wounded. As he dies, he tries to tell Roxanne about Cyrano's love for her and his role in their courtship. And because our hero doesn't help Christian here, Roxanne is still in the dark. Now Cyrano is left to rally his cadets and repel the Spanish. They win the day, and then we flash forward 15 years later.
You remain here forever in mourning?
Forever,
And have you forgiven me?
I am at peace. I am here and Christian is here.
Oh darn, the Guiche lived? I was hoping he would have died in the battle too. At least he admits to appreciating Cyrano for his free-spirited nature over the years, but it's the sort of speaking out that results in people trying to kill our hero.
Look out! Cyrano! We must get you to a doctor.
Frankly, I'm amazed he's even alive at this point. In the play, it was a log that was pushed off a building, but here it's a stone statue. I feel like that's even worse. But Cyrano does meet up with Roxanne as intended. Their conversation turns to the last love letter that Roxanne thought was Christian's, and Cyrano is given the chance to read it. But when he faints and starts reciting the letter by memory, Roxanne realizes who wrote her husband's letters, and what Christian was trying to tell her before he died.
I raise my sword to you, Roxanne, and bequeath you my white plume.
Farewell, beloved. Your play finds its ending. I am the only woman in the world who has loved just one man and lost him twice.
Wow, what a way to go. That was beautiful. This is a really fine example of Hanna-Barbera taking something so dramatic and tragic and making it digestible for younger audiences. And while the animation shows its age sometimes, it can also play up the humorous parts. So when Cyrano makes fun of his own nose in the theater, the jokes feel very natural in both the play itself and the Hanna-Barbera production. And Jose Ferrer's voice work was just amazing as the main character. He practically stole the whole show. I'm just amazed this aired for an after-school audience, considering the deaths and blood present. But it's so good that even adults can appreciate this special, because I know I was especially invested in the story. If you can find the special anywhere, even online, it's definitely worth a watch, and it might lead you to explore some other Cyrano adaptations, especially the ones with Jose Ferrer. Next time, we'll be watching something with a pink dragon. Or is it a dinosaur? We'll find out next time.